Hello everyone, this is Suresh Kumar, working as Assistant Professor, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Dundigal, Hyderabad. Today, we have to be discussed a very important topic like reservoirs. In the water resource engineering, reservoirs. What is meant by reservoirs? How the reservoirs can be calculated, capacity can be calculated, and types of the reservoir and selection site of the reservoirs. Some of the topics can be discussed today's lectures. One, what is meant by reservoir? A reservoir is an essential structure which is used to store of the water from the various uses. Now, this can be natural or maybe unnatural, maybe artificial of the serve of the multi-purpose of the reservoirs can be also be used. Next, understanding the types of the reservoir is key effect of the water of the management. Next, let us see definition of the very important definition of the reservoir. What do you mean by reservoir? A reservoir is large natural or artificial lakes from the storage of the water. The collection and hold the agricultural, municipal and industrial use of the purposes can use by store of the reservoir. Reservoirs can also play an critical and flood control of the hydroelectrical power generations also used for the reservoirs. Let us see the one by one where you have to be discussions. Let's zones of the reservoir. In the zones of the reservoir, top and level, high flood level, full reservoir level, high flood level, full reservoir level, or full tank level. So we have to be gross storage, live storage, and dead storage, and the body of the dam, upper storage, lower storage. Of course, these are all the discussed in the component parts of the dam of the class. But here you have to be some also reservoir means which is incorporated, which is related of the dams as well as the reservoirs. So that's why you have to see the, let us remind the some of the points can be dams. Let us see that one. Full reservoir level. Here FRL, full reservoir level, RF tank fund, full tank fund level. Let us see what is the full reservoir level. It can be included as the both active and inactive storage of the flood storage is provided for the highest reservoir level that can be maintained without any spillway, discharge or throughways of the spillway. We call it as the full reservoir level. Minimum drawdown level, MDDL. What is meant by minimum drawdown level? It is also the level below the water which is not to be drawn down, and so as to maintain the minimum head required in the power of project, in the power of the project. That's why we call it as MDDL. So that is the minimum drawdown level. Next, dead storage level. Let's see them now. Dead storage. Dead storage is nothing but the bottom, the below of the level. There are the outlets to drain the water in the reservoir by the gravity, and below this level is will be accumulated during the design of lifespan. So we call it as dead storage. Let us see the maximum water level. We call it as MWL. What is meant by MWL? The MWL is nothing but the level ever likely to be attained during the passage of the design of the design flood, and sometimes called as high flood level and high reservoir level. We call it as high flood level as the high reservoir level also. And this is the volume of the water actually available. Next, live storage. Live storage is nothing but, see that one. This is the difference between the dead storage and the full tank level or full reservoir level. So we call it as the, in between these area, we call it as the live storage. Next, what do you mean by gross storage? In the gross storage is nothing but here the top level of the high flood level or level to the dead bottom of the dead storage. So this we call as the dead storage of that one. So this is also minimum maximum water level and the live storage. So dead storage and outlet surge or flood storage. What do you mean by flood storage? Flood storage is nothing but this is the storage in between flood storage in between the so FRL and maximum water level to the contain the peaks of the flood of the might as they may occur. When there is a sufficient storage capacity from them below the full reservoir level. So that is a full reservoir level. Next, buffer storage. What is meant by buffer storage? A buffer storage is nothing but a storage. It is also just the above the dead storage level up to the minimum drawdown can be released from the zones of the saturation situation of the carrier is essential. It means that dead storage and the buffer storage together we call it as inactive storage. We call it as inactive storage. Next, these are the some of the component parts of the reservoir dams. So that we discussed about the storage level of the reservoir, which is we can be considered it as the beside the dam levels. So that's why we have to be discussed and remaining of the different type of the storages and storage capacities of the reservoirs. Next, let us see that one, how the purpose of the reservoir. What is the purpose of the reservoir? Reservoir, they store and as we know very well, storage and control of the water of the irrigation purposes and storage and diversion of the water for domestic purposes and water supply industrial uses can be used and development hydroelectrical power generation and increase in the space of the flood control and reclamation of the low lying land and also debris control and preservation and cultivation of the useful aquatic life and recreation. So these are some of the purpose of the reservoirs. These are all the one of the purpose of the reservoir. Storage and control and irrigation purposes, storage and diversion and water supply and development increasing the power generation and increasing the water depth navigation purpose and recreation purpose and flood control purpose and low lying of the land and also preservation of the cultivation of the use of aquatic life. So next, types of the reservoirs and overview. Types of the reservoir. A reservoir can be classified based on their formation, purposes and operations. The main types of the include natural, artificial and seasonal reservoirs. Main of the including the natural reservoirs, artificial reservoirs and seasonal reservoirs. Each type of has unique characteristics of the service of the different needs. Next, let us see what is meant by natural reservoirs. In the natural reservoirs, nothing but here naturally they can be formed by geological conditions of the process at the time. So we call it as the natural reservoir. But we can include the lakes and ponds and walnuts and holding of the water from the rainfall and the runoff. Holding of the water from the rainfall and runoff. It can be storage of the sedimentary purposes and also used from the in the downstream of the. It can be naturally, it can be formed. The reservoir is also vital and ecosystems are the biodiversity forms we have also used for the national reservoirs. What is meant by artificial reservoirs? So, what is artificial reservoir? Artificial reservoirs is nothing but the reservoirs which have been we are creating or construction can be done. The mean to say, so humanly interaction and invention usually dams and reservoirs, construction of the hydraulic such like dams, reservoirs, culverts like that. These are the designed and also stored for the large volume of the water in the specific purposes. Next, common uses of the include the irrigation and drinking water purpose and also recreation and the artificial reservoirs can be human intervention, usually damaging the rivers. The design of the storage of the water volume can be water and the specific purposes. The common uses of the irrigation, mainly the artificial reservoirs can be constructed to store of the water to avoid the wastage of the water during the floods. It can be stored the water and can be utilized the as per the requirement of the further of the monsoons. That is the main purpose of the storage of the reservoirs and construction of the reservoirs. Next, common uses of the include irrigation, drinking water supply, and the recreation. So this is the some of the uses of the artificial reservoirs. So let us this is the difference between the natural reservoirs and the artificial reservoirs. Natural reservoirs we know very well. Naturally, it can be formed, and artificial reservoirs can be constructed man-made construction of the hydrostatic structures. So that is called preparing artificial reservoirs. So let us see the reservoirs from the volume here. Reservoir dam will be constructed here as evaporation. After the evaporation, supply of the water in the catchment area, rainfall which comes from through the rivers can be stored, volume of the can be deposited here. This is the called as artificial example of the artificial reservoirs. Next, seasonal reservoirs. What is meant by seasonal reservoirs? A seasonal reservoirs is the reservoirs. It can be temporarily water bodies can be formed during the specific reason, especially in the rainy season. So it can be formed automatically. The ponds can be store of the water, which is excess water can be comes or floods of the water can be overflow and can be forms. It can be seasonally, can be stored, temporary storage water of the 1 month, 2 months it can be stored, and again it can be summer, it can be evaporated, and naturally it can be natural it can be forms. These reservoirs is important for the local wildlife and also some of the agricultural purpose, small agricultural purpose, and animals can be also be drink for the summer season. Can maybe storage of small water can be useful for the drinking of the purposes. This is a seasonally storage of the water. Next, water supply reservoirs. These are the reservoirs can be especially for design the water supply only. So what we have to do, water supply reservoirs are primarily designed to provide the drinking water. They ensure the stable and reliable of the water supply in urban and rural areas. These reservoirs must be carefully managed and to be maintain the water supply. So next, these are the some of the reservoirs of the water supply reservoirs. Let us see here the catchment of the water here, and can be impounding from the reservoir and can be stored pumping station, raw water from the guarding, and water treatment can be sent to water treatment, and primary of the reservoir sources from the pumping stations it can be stored, and the reservoir to the it will be sent to the customers after the sending after the clean up water can be purification. All the process will be completed, then only they will be sent for the using the consumers or customers. So flood control reservoirs. What is flood control reservoirs? A flood control reservoir is a reservoir. It can be built to migrate and floods risk of the downstream of the areas. These stores are excess rainwater and releasing the gradually to prevent the overflow. So this can be this mean to say for suppose this is the dam is constructed here, and it can be water can be stored up to some level, and due to the spillway the water can be overflowed. So overflowed the floods will becomes heavy floods will come, and it can be store of the water, and to avoid the floods control, to damage the downstream of the site. It can be protect some water. These type of the excess rainwater can be released gradually to prevent the overflow. So this overflow water only it can be taken. So remaining all are they can be stored for this area. So this is called to manage, and it can be heavily damaging of the risk can be reduced by construction of the flood control reservoirs. These reservoirs are can be crucial for protecting the communities and the infrastructures. Community and infrastructures. This is some of the construction of the flood control. So, which is the during the floods area, it can be protected the area which is not damaging of the area. The damage of the whether humans or any of the economically it cannot be damaged due to the construction of the flood control reservoirs construction. Next, hydroelectrical reservoir. So, hydroelectrical reservoir is the reservoir which is we know very well the multi-purpose, we call it as multi-purpose reservoir also. It can be used for the power generation, and multi-purpose nothing but the store of the water, and it can be irrigation purposes, and it can be power generation purposes also we have to be used. So these type of the construction multi-purpose reservoirs for power generation as well as the irrigation or recreation and drinking purpose, whatever domestic, whatever it is. We call it as hydroelectrical reservoirs. The store of the water can be released to the turbines and procedure of the power. Let us see that the diagram you can understand easily. Let us see here the water can be intake here from the reservoir, and it can be due to the penstocks. To penstock, the water can be taken here, and it can be taken through the turbine will be rotated continuously to the bombarding of these vanes. So it can be rotated continuously. What happened? The armature can be rotated during the shaft. Here we call it as a shaft. A shaft is rotating also construction, and here hydraulic energy can be means the water energy converted into mechanical energy, and the mechanical energy is connected the electrical energy due to the armature can be formed towards that one. So that is the here is the turbines will be moving as the continuation process, and also it can be converted the electrical transmission and can be supplied as usually. So that's why we call as the this is the process of the generally power generation. The water can be intake and send it to the turbines. The turbines will be continuously rotated in the mechanical energy converted into electrical energy. First, the hydraulic energy is converted to mechanical energy, and it can be again it can mechanically converted into electrical. This is the simply process of the power generation process, and this can be reservoirs can be constructed for the power generation purpose, as we call as multi-purpose reservoir also we have to be said. Next, storage of the conservation of the reservoir, flood control reservoir, multi-purpose reservoir. So flood control, as we discussed, what the flood control, the flood will be the whenever the floods will become, it can be protected. Overflow of the water only it can be protected, and again the multi-purpose reservoir. What is multi-purpose reservoir? A multi-purpose reservoir is the reservoir which is used for the, as I told, for different purposes it can be sacrificed for the construction of this reservoir, construction of reservoirs and hydraulic structures. So we call it as multi-purpose reservoir. Next, distribution reservoir. It can be stored of the water, can be distributed as per the irrigation purposes or drinking purpose. The storage water can be distributed of the water. Next, balancing of the reservoir. It can be storage reservoir, multi-purpose reservoir, distribution. The stores of the water during the demand and supply as per the requirement. The water can be distributed as the high demand. Next, balancing reservoir. What is meant by balancing reservoir? A small reservoir is constructed and also downstream side of the main reservoir for holding of the water. So this is called balancing reservoir. That means the water which is comes from here and it can be stored up to the some of the area. So we call the underground water can be plant and the balancing reservoir. So balance reservoir upstream side as well as the storage water in the downstream. Next, balancing reservoir. A balancing reservoir is nothing but a small reservoir which is constructed at downstream of the side of the main reservoirs for holding of the water. These type of we call as the balancing of the reservoirs. So hold here as we discussed in the some of the water can be collected here and can be sent due to the groundwater plant. It can be stored. So these type we call as the balancing reservoir. So investigation for the reservoir planning, very important. How the reservoir? Suppose you have to be construct one reservoir. What are the criteria can be taken as consideration? Engineering survey, geological survey, and hydrological survey. So first of all, yes, engineering survey. What is engineering survey? A dam site of the construction here can be surveyed and detail the preparation of the contour plans and also the preparation of the elevation plans and also the prepared the different of the storage of the elevations of the curves and also carried out the properties of the area of the land and selection of suitable site of the dam. These are the engineering. Primarily, engineering survey will be conducted. Whether it is a possibility is there for the construction of the reservoir or the dam. So that is the we call as the primarily engineering survey will be conducted. Whether it is the engineering survey is the feasibility of the dam construction or reservoir construction. Second one, geological. This is very important. In the geological survey, what happens? You can test the soils and rocks and materials, whether it is the bare on such type of the huge loads on the particular area can be possibility, and also they will take the consideration of earthquakes and also take it as rainfall data of the last 100 to 200 years of the rainfall data will be collected, and also they will analyze the floods, how much the floods will be the last 100 years, the maximum floods will becomes, how the water level will be rises, that like that these are all the consideration will be taken in the consideration, and also the groundwater conditions, whether it is groundwater is in deep or a slow lying area. So and also the minimize the area of the dam construction will be the minimum distance will be used for the construction. It will be strong as well as the economy wise it is also be very safe for the construction. Next, location of the survey very important in nothing but requirement of dam construction and geological and catchment are studied. It affects the properties of the runoff of the percolation of the considerations of the survey. These are the some of the elevation of the storage of the curves, volume and minimum operation levels will be maximum operation level area in the hectares can be taken, and also how many hectares of the volume will be the maximum operating level, and the volume will be the area will be consideration here of the storage of the curves. Next, hydrological survey. What is mean hydrological survey? Geological survey is over and also engineering survey is over. The third one is hydrological survey. In the hydrological survey is nothing but here is the survey. The proposed dam site will be the determined the capacity corresponding to give the demand as per the requirement of the demand will be fulfilled or not. So that is the hydrological survey means the catchment area, how much the water is available. First of all, we are going to spend crores and lakhs of crores rupees from this project. So it can be utilized. The water, if it is not the area of the water availability is there, why we have to be construct the reservoir or dam? So that's why first of all we have to take the hydrological survey, as I told the runoff and hydrograph by using the hydrograph. So how the runoff will be the last 100 to 20 years will be taking the construction based on this one only have to be consider how much the height of the reservoir can be construction will be decided based on the designs. And also the determine the hydrographs on the worst spillways, how much area of the spillway have to be constructed will be capacity of the design will be designed. And so another one is hydrological survey is over. Uh, Reservoir and storage. The basic terms are definition as I have told. This is maximum water level, surge tank, surge level, and this is the outlet, and this is the crest and useful of the storage. This one, and this is the dam storage capacity and reservoir, and also there is the useful storage or live storage. We call it as useful live storage, dead storage, minimum full level, minimum maximum water level. So these are some of the story basic terms and reference will be used for the designing of the basic terms we have to be discussed during the construction of the reservoir or dams. Next, reservoir sedimentation, very important point. Reservoir sedimentation. What is the reservoir sedimentation? In this reservoir sedimentation, rivers carrying the large amount of the sedimentation load along with the water. These sedimentation will be the stagnated or deposited from the reservoir on the upstream side, and because of the reduction of the velocity. So let us see that one. Here is the dam will be constructed. So what happened? The water will be stored here up to some level extent, and it can be also the silt deposits will be also in the bottom. As we discussed about the silt pressure is also taking out the design of the consideration in the previous lectures. So based on this one, you have to be it can be increased. What happened? The capacity of the reservoir will be less. Not only that, it can be weak the structure. So the dead storage will be the decrease during the sedimentation of the small sand particles. This obstruct the storage capacity. So that is the sum of the bottom of the bed level. So what are the factors affecting on sedimentation? What are the factors affecting sedimentation? Nature of the soil of the catchment and vegetal cover, topography of the catchment, instantly rainfall. So in these factors of the affecting of the sedimentation, what we have to be observed here, the natural soil or catchment area will be taken as the consideration, and also the vegetal current. Vegetal current nothing but how much area can be greenery or maybe greenery without a drought line. So how much area will be cultivated, how much area can be used for the purpose of agriculture. The such type of we call it vegetable cover of the taken. Next, topography of the catchment. What is the topography of the catchment? In this topography of the catchment is nothing but here the catchment of the area will be the same, and topography of the take how the area will be taken for the how it is used for the construction of the reservoirs. You take it as topographic area and also intensity of the rainfall. Intensity of the rainfall will be also consideration. As I told, in this local or the catchment area, the water which is from the inflow, the intensity, how much intensity of rainfall for the last 100 years will be taken as consideration for the during the construction of the reservoir or dams. Construction is also we have to be taken as consideration of the while construction of the reservoirs. Next, types of sedimentation load. So let us see the types of sedimentation load. Here the first sedimentation load, the part of sedimentation load held suspended, and the gravity of the vertically can be comes from the eddy particles in the turbulence flow by using with the water particles. Usually it consists of the fine material depressed and through the reverse of the cross section. Next, what is my bed load? Bed load is the part of sedimentation load which remains in the contact with bed and moving with the water. It consists of the relative course of the materials. So suspended load. What do you mean suspended load? A samples can be taken for the consideration depth of the river, and samples then filtered and sediment particles will be collected, and after drying the sedimentation taken, experts say, especially in the expression part of the milling. So next, bed load. What do you mean by bed load? There is no particle whether this can be measured for the load as the usually 5 to 25% of the suspended load. The average value will be that take it as concentration 15% as generally will be take. So average annual sediment is it, I will take it as annual sediment is equal to how much the annual sediment will be considered, and also the mass sedimentation per unit volume of the water into the annual volume of the water. So this is the average rainfall of the formula. By using this formula, annual sedimentation is equal to mass of the per unit volume by annual volume of the water will be considered of the typical. So this is some remaining will be discussed in the next class. How the reservoir can be take it as the sedimentation particles, and also control, and also what are the factors we consider. Remaining will be, and estimation of the reservoir very important will be discussed in the next. So the next class will be we have to be discussed the remaining class estimation of the reservoirs. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.